Hey guys, Matt here, and today I am back for day number 40 of RegularRevenge. We're officially at 10 weeks, basically, at this point. Plus the extra, but you know, we're basically at 11 weeks. I'm not going to try and do the mathematics now. Even though I just tried to do the mathematics. Now, let's just get into these stories. First story, back when I read stories in Pay Revenge, we had a 9-year-old getting revenge, and then a 6-year-old getting revenge. Today, my 5-year-old son gets revenge on his bully. Oh my gosh. I'm just waiting for it to get down to the point of like a 2-year-old getting revenge somehow. When my younger son was in kindergarten, he was constantly picked on by a nasty kid in his class. He would come home almost every day with a story of being bullied. Now this son was just one of the sweetest, kindest little boys ever. Everyone loved him. He was every mother's dream. Now this was 30 some years ago. And the prevailing mindset was, boys will be boys. I told my son to talk to the playground lady or his teacher, but the bullying continued. One day I got a call from his teacher. Teacher, hi Miss F, this is son's teacher. Did son talk to you about what happened today at school? Me while side-eyeing kiddo. No, he did not. What happened? Well, there was an incident today on the playground and son bit a boy in his class. Was it Bully Boy? Yes. How did you know it was him if your son did not tell you? Bully Boy has been terrorizing my son for weeks, and even though I told him to speak to you and the playground lady about it, nothing has been done to protect my son. Well, Bully Boy has had these problems before. We do realize there is reason for concern. So it's okay for my son to be bullied, but not to defend himself the only way he could. I think there is something very wrong about this, and you need to do something about Bully Boy's behaviour before you come to me about my son. We'll be speaking to Bully Boy's parents about his behaviour. Well, I should hope so. This kid needs to be separated from the other kids if he keeps up this bad behaviour. I am not happy that my son bit Bully Boy, but I have told him that he should never start fights, but feel free to finish fights someone else starts. So I'll discuss this with my son, and I hope you get a handle on Bully Boy's issues, because if I hear that Bully Boy picks on my son again, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. Yes ma'am, I hear. Click. I talked to my son, told him biting was bad, took him to his favourite restaurant for dinner, and he got a well-deserved ice cream cone for standing up for himself. I emphasised with my son, mainly because the same thing happened to me, and I defended myself by biting my bully. My bully left me alone after that, and I never heard about Bully Boy ever again. It's just... I love how you dealt with your bully by biting your bully as well. It's just like, it's just an endless cycle of like, you get bullied, you bite your bully leaves you alone, and then the next family member that comes around that you've had, kid gets bullied, kid defends himself by biting, bully disappears. Or like bully leaves him alone. Like, damn, that is just mad. I bet, yeah, like Bully Boy is just like, shit. It's like, he gave me rabies. Okay, next story. Making domestic abuse jokes online. I wonder if your girlfriend will find it funny. So, like, content warning for domestic abuse slash RP. But this post won't go into details on this topic. I stumbled across a video on Instagram showing a hand signal that people who are in domestic abuse situations can use video calls to signal for help, and were shocked to see that the comments were riddled with guys making vile jokes about it. God damn. These comments were vile at the best of times, but really boiled my blood that they were being made in a place where survivors of these situations were likely to see it. So I had a quick look on their profiles to see which of these guys had girlfriends, and sent the girlfriends screenshots of their boyfriend's disgusting comments. I got a reply from one of the girlfriends thanking me for reaching out and that she's spoken to him about it, and shared the screenshots on his Facebook to show that he thinks that it's an acceptable way to act. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Make stupid jokes, lose your girlfriend. It's just like, why make those jokes online? If you don't have anything nice to say online, don't say it at all. It's just like, why? It's like you accidentally shoot yourself in the foot. It's just like, ow, that hurt. But I don't know what you expected by doing that. Don't let your dog shit on my lawn, or you get a driveway full of poo. Lucky here, first time posting. A few months ago, I come home from work to see steaming piles of dog dung on my lawn. Every day they built up. About a week later, I counted probably 7 or 8 piles. I knew it was a larger dog because of the larger piles, but there are several larger dogs in the neighborhood, so I wasn't 100% sure who it was. I work a 9-to-5 job and can't Dolores out my window. So I purchased a Ring camera, no free ads, and set it up facing the area where the piles were. The very next fucking day, what do you know? Guy who lives across the street with his large golden retriever camping out directly under the camera. Now that I had my perp, when I got home from work, I grabbed a bag, picked up all the shit, walked over to Buddy's house and scattered it across his driveway. The very next morning, the poo was all cleaned up, and I'm happy to announce that my grass is shit free. Thank you. Yeah, because doesn't dog poo have like perchlorates in it? I don't think it's important to the lawn, but I'm pretty sure if you leave poo on a lawn, like dog poo on the lawn, wouldn't it kill it? Like, I don't know the saying, can't Dolores out my window though. Like, what? It's still funny. I don't get that. Okay, last story. The Suicide Pact, or how one boss treated his employees so badly, corporate helped them rebel. Gear up, because this is going to be a long one. This happened several years ago, so I don't remember every detail as it happened, but this is accurate to the best of my recollections. I, at the time a 21-year-old male, used to work for a company that sold phone cases and did phone and tablet repairs. The shop was this little kiosk inside a mall, and the manager was this guy we will call Manny, male 27-year-old, whom I quickly became close friends with. We were quite good at our jobs. I was the lead repair technician and acting assistant manager, and Manny was so efficient as a salesman that he could have sold water to a drowning man. We had 2 employees working for us, whom we will simply call Employee 1 and Employee 2. Just keep it simple, nice. They were only around for the last few months I worked at this location, but we all became and remain to this day great friends thanks to the incident I'll be describing. The 4 of us ran a very tight ship. Our store always looked flawless, despite the fact that it was literally the size of a walk-in closet. Our Google and Yelp pages, though recently created, were flooded with good reviews, and word of mouth was spreading that we were one of the best phone repair shops in the mall, which earned us lots of repeat customers and lots of glowing recommendations. Kiosk became one of the company's best performing stores in the region, and our performance didn't go unnoticed by corporate higher-ups either. So when the company decided to sell the kiosk, they successfully enticed Manny and myself into continuing to work for them by offering us both promotions and pay increases if we relocated to other areas and opened up new stores. Employee number 1, a 19-year-old female, and Employee 2, a 22-year-old male, declined to be relocated, but they agreed to remain on until Manny and I were finally transferred out. However, corporate informed us that it would be at least a month before all the appropriate paperwork was filed. Hooray for red tape. Yeah. And for construction to begin on these new stores, the 4 of us would continue working for the new owner and receive our pay from him. On the day we all met, new owner, 42-year-old male, it was immediately clear that the transition was going to be rough. He began changing our work practices immediately, and we quickly became acquainted with his pushy sales tactics, shady business practices, and other strange behaviors, such as contradicting us in front of customers about policies he admitted to not being familiar with. We jokingly took bets on how long it would be before the kiosk became a dumpster fire. None of us anticipated the fire catching as quickly as it did. First, he raised the prices on everything, all of our products, cases, chargers, screen protectors, etc. went up by an average of $10 to $20 each, well above what they were worth. He would add absurd fees to repair costs, haggled with customers over prices like it was a market ball, and kicked a return policy out the window. He refused to honour our customers' repair warranties, something which caused him to constantly butt heads with Manny. Our previously flawless Google and Yelp ratings tanked within 3 days of a new owner taking over. And that was just the beginning. Once he had finally ruined our established relationship with our customer base, new owner started to gut his employees. He began by cutting the hours of both Manny and Employee 2, a second best repair tech, as owner wanted to get some hands-on experience with the customers and the repairs. But since he had no repair training, this meant he was constantly keeping me well behind my typical hours, often from open to close, despite the fact that all of us were sufficiently skilled in the same repairs. I don't normally mind extra hours, but not at the expense of my friends and co-workers. In any event, it had become clear that new owner not only wanted to force Manny and Employee 2 to quit by cutting their hours, but also buy my loyalty by giving me and Employee 1 those same hours. Additionally, new owner was constantly scheduling Employee 1, again, just barely 19, and the only female on the crew, to work alone with him, an act that we all understood to be very predatory given the age difference. Oh no, why? While Employee 1 made it clear that new owner never overtly did anything inappropriate, we took it upon ourselves to make sure that they were never alone together. Fortunately, Manny's best friend at the time was head of mall security, and we also made friends with the managers and employees of other nearby shops, so thankfully someone was always watching. But the biggest issue was our pay. I was supposed to be paid a handsome hourly plus a 10% commission on all my repairs and sales. However, when I asked for my paycheck, the new owner said that he hadn't received them yet and would let me know when they came in. That was the biggest red flag yet. Our checks had always been delivered on the 1st and 15th of the month, but none of us received our checks that week. Even the pittance that Manny and employee 2 were expecting thanks to their cut hours. And we knew he was making money. He was constantly bragging about how his other business were much more profitable than Donald Trump. The scheduling / pay issues went on for 2 weeks, with Manny and employee 2 barely making any hours and no paychecks forthcoming. At this point, Manny and I had gotten transfer paperwork filed, and we were preparing to pack up and move out of our respective apartments. He was going to Phoenix while I was moving to Norman, Oklahoma. However, since I'd basically been opening and closing the shop nearly every single day, I had not had the time to pack anything, and the Norman shop was scheduled to open in just 2 weeks. I also needed to be there a few days early to help set up everything and get new employees trained, as I was also getting a promotion with this transfer to assistant store manager. I needed time off to pack and move. When I explained this to the new owner, however, he insisted he needed me here to help with repairs. I argued that employee 2 was quite skilled with the repairs, since I had trained him myself, but the new owner insisted that he wanted my experience. It wasn't until I reiterated that I had a set day that I had to be in Norman that he finally said, "Let me go make the schedule and see what I could do," and then left for lunch. He came back an hour later with a schedule for the next 2 weeks. Surprise, surprise. New owner had me working 12 out of the next 14 days. The only days off he had given me were the next Sunday, which was grayed out as requested off, and the last day before I was scheduled to be in Norman, for which he had me listed as on call. Later, as I was leaving for the day, new owner, much to my shock, hands me $3,000 cash and asks me to take everyone their pay. $1,000 was mine, $1,500 was Manny's, and I was told to split the remaining $500 between employee 1 and employee 2, however I saw fit. Honestly, that $3,000 didn't even cover what I alone was owed, but by that point we were all behind on our bills and moving expenses, and anything was better than nothing. I then called Manny, employee 1 and employee 2, and we convened at Manny's apartment for a small celebration that consisted of alcohol and other less than legal substances, as we discussed our friendship and how awful of a boss new owner had been. It's like that type of less than legal substance. During our revelry, the conversation turned into a drunken fantasy about how we were going to get back at new owner, and it wasn't long before we came up with a plan that we thought was halfway decent. Our ultimate solution was a Suicide Pact, meaning we would all quit on the same day. Since my father was coming out first, we chose that as the date, with the caveat that if anyone got fired before that deadline, we all jump ship that day instead. It was a great plan, but I felt that it wasn't nearly enough. When I left for home that night, I messaged my soon-to-be boss from the new store, we shall call him Jay, about what was going on with the new owner. He said because the new owner was a franchisee and not a corporate employee, they were limited with the actions they could take. However, he assured me that action would be taken. We wound up putting our plan into effect nearly 2 days later. Employee number 2 called me at 7 in the morning and told me that he had woken up to a voicemail new owner had left him at 3 a.m. to tell him that he was letting him go. I passed the message along to Manny and employee 1. The time had come, and neither of them would be showing up for their next shifts. I, however, would be going in for my shift to open, as Jay had given me a last-minute assignment the night before. After a brief stop at Walmart, I arrived at the kiosk at 7:45, well before a new owner had arrived, and quickly cleaned out all of the repair parts and tools which had been purchased by our corporate office, as well as all of the Colgate and Pro Sports licensed cases, the bejeweled phone cases that we sold for premium, the marketing displays, and the special packaging we use for gifting. Any product or accessory that had the company logo in it was removed from the kiosk. I then wrapped all of these items in bubble wrap, placed them inside the 2 shipping containers I got from shipping boxes I got from Walmart, and waited for UPS to arrive. When they did, I was handed a padded envelope from our corporate office with 2 shipping labels. One addressed to the Norman store, the other to the Arizona store, and 2 so-called asset relocation forms, which Jay had instructed me to fill out with the items in each box before placing and sealing it inside, then fix the shipping labels to the outside of each box. Once this was done, the UPS guy kindly took both boxes with him. Side note, I am reasonably confident that these were not legitimate company documents and were something Jay or another corporate manager had manufactured for the ruse, because I had never seen them before and never saw them again. Anyway, as the morning progressed, I told all of our neighbours and returning customers about the situation and advised all of them to steer clear of new owner in the kiosk after that day. Some of them asked me to fix their phones one last time, and then thanked me graciously by tipping the full amount of the repair. As my shift ended, I said my goodbyes to all the friends I made at the mall, and when new owner finally came in to take over for the day, I thanked him kindly and told him that I would see him tomorrow. I never saw him again. Over the next week and a half, new owner tried calling me numerous times from different numbers, but I ignored them all. He left desperate voicemails begging to get somebody to come in and cover for him, and I began hearing through the grapevine that new owner had been getting into shouting matches with his customers and other managers within the mall, further driving people away, as word got around that the cell phone guys everybody liked were no longer there. Eventually, new owner got in contact with Manny and asked him to try and get some of us to come in, including the guy he fired at 3 a.m. Manny responded by saying that he would have us come in if new owner paid us what he owed us. He never paid us, and we never went back. Sadly, that's where our part in the revenge came to an end, but Karma ultimately finished the job. New owner did eventually try to retaliate and complain to corporate that I had stolen his merchandise. By then, however, corporate was very familiar with our side of the story, and the forms I filled out proved that the merchandise in question had in fact been reallocated to other locations, which saved the company thousands of dollars in expenses on the new stores. To add insult to injury, the new owner would have to repurchase all that merchandise with his own money. I placed new owner out of my mind and eventually left that company for greener pastures about a year later, but not before learning what had happened to new owner. He apparently ran it for less than 6 months, couldn't keep employees longer than a few weeks, again, the pay issues, and was $50,000 in debt. Oh, why? How do you get that bad in 6 months? By the time he sold the location, turns out that those other businesses weren't doing as well as he boasted. Nobody in that mall ever saw him again after that. The shop is still there under new owners, by my understanding, the kiosk has changed hands a few times over the years. And while all four of us have moved on to different places in our lives, every once in a while we all get on Xbox and reminisce about experiences there. A collective lottery fantasy is to eventually buy the kiosk back and run it like we did in the good old days. Yeah, just start your own business, just the four of you. And like, you just provide the exact same service that you provided with the company that you worked for. But you become your own bosses and make money from doing phone repairs. I did not know you get so much for phone repairs, though. Phone repairs is a pretty good job to get into if you know what you're doing. Which new owner didn't know at all. Oh my god. Anyways, links will be in the description to my main channel and also the channel that you're on right now that has links on the screen to the playlist in the last episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.